Hello Southwestern, it's Armando Gonzalez, your VP of Clubs, and welcome to the ASO Spotlight, the show in which we interview a person from all walks of campus to give you, the student, a better idea of what really goes on in your school. Today, we have the new Student Activities Coordinator, Richard Eberheart. Welcome, Richard.
Thanks, Armando, for having me, man. I'm glad to be here.
So tell me, Richard, what exactly do you do?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm still figuring it out. This is actually still week one for me. Actually, as of today, is week one. So, but from what I understand, I know I have a big role in working with all of the ASO clubs and committees. I work with all of the execs as well. So we have weekly meetings. I have with you, I have with Renalyn and with Sayaka. And then I also I sit as advisor for all of the different ASO committees. And then I also advise all of the different clubs that we have here on campus. So if they have questions about how to hold an event on campus, or they want to have questions about how to get funded for the different events, things like that. So I sit in with all those committees and then also help our clubs with, just with any and everything that they need help with doing here on campus.
All right. Now I've heard you've done some advocacy for the environment and heard you talk about going paperless to the meetings. Could you elaborate on that, please?
Sure. I know one of the big things I wanted to do when I got hired here was that I noticed that a lot of our things are still paper-based. A lot of our forms are still based on paper. A lot of our agendas and minutes and all these kind of things are still paper-based. And I know we're really making a big push. I know with the Sustainability Club, they're making a big push as well to really kind of move our campus towards a zero-waste campus and being a much more efficient, much more online-based kind of campus. And I come from the four-year university level, so I actually come from San Diego State University, where I did my undergrad and my grad work, and then I also worked there for a couple of years before I came here. And they've been making a big push to moving a lot of things towards like Google Docs and moving a lot of things towards online processes with Google Forms and other things like that. So I really wanted to try to bring some of those processes here to try to get us to where we can not only be able to do things online, but then we can also, save a lot of paper because we're killing trees every meeting.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
So I really want us to, really make a big push for us moving towards that. So, and then I know also with the recycling programs, things that we have in here, I know that that's a big push for the campus overall. So I'm just hoping to just be able to add to that with our paperless processes that we're trying to implement.
Very good. I understand you come from a counseling background. Could you explain really what role that skill set you have really plays on your day-to-day duty? So,
with my counseling background, a lot of it is the relational building with students, and that's pretty much my strength and where I kind of come from when it comes to advising students and student clubs and ASO committees and that kind of thing. It's about building those different connections with students. It's building those relationships with students. I like to joke that I speak fluent teenager. So when we have students that, particularly at a community college where a lot of them are coming directly from high schools.
Right.
I have a opportunity to kind of build those connections, be able to work with students, and then be able to let them know that, hey, I can help guide you, I can mold you, I can push you in the right direction, but then I can also just have a regular conversation with you. So that's where the counseling background really comes into play, and really being able to the active listening, being able to really reflect back to students, being able to really hone into those emotional things that students are going through, and being able to kind of help them through those and talking through those when they're stressed out, working with time management, those other kind of things. That's where that counseling background really comes in handy, where I can really help them through those things on top of the other procedural things that we need to do as far as how to fill out forms and how to do certain things on campus, that kind of stuff. So.
Now, I find it very interesting that you come from San Diego State for the reason that Southwestern could be considered, a feeder school to San Diego State. Now, what would you give the average student just coming to Southwestern, any advice on how to really reach their goal, which would be to enter San Diego State University?
Well, I would say the first thing is when working with students is that, a lot of students, they just look at community college as the 13th grade. And not really realizing that this is just a means to an end. This is just one step in the process.
A stepping stone.
Right. So I think it's really big on us, particularly with ASO and with our admissions counselors, things like that. Really letting students understand that when you get here, you need to have a game plan for what class you need to be doing, what things you need to be involved in to get you to the next step. Not just I just come take a couple classes and just kind of see what happens. We really want to hone into our students and really, get that foundation of these are the things I need to do so I can go to the next level, so I can get out of here in 2 or 3 years, as opposed to oh, I come here, take a class here and there, 4, 5, 6 years later, they still don't really have an idea of where they're really going, what they want to do, where they want to go. So I think it's incumbent upon us as the staff here, as a student developer, as a counselor, to really let our students know, hey, when you get here, let's get you a game plan for, okay, you want to get involved in these are the things you want to do, these are the internships that are available, here are the scholarships that are available, just to be able to get you to that next point, not just thinking about the here and now, but already, your first year, already have a game plan for how you're going to get to the next level.
So we have it from the source. You're saying basically that it is very possible for a person to come, in and out in 2 years.
I mean, it's possible. It's definitely tough. I mean, just with the amount of students that we have here and the amount of classes that are available, it is tough. It is possible, like I said, but that may also mean taking summer classes and taking night classes and those kind of things. It is possible. I would say the average is probably closer to 3 years, 3.5 years. But it is very possible. But that's a lot of times those are those students that I just came, took a couple classes, and not really understanding where I really wanted to go, which is understandable. I mean, I wouldn't expect an 18-year-old coming right out of high school to know exactly where they want to go or where they want to be. So sometimes it is a little bit of that first semester or two, just kind of finding yourself and figuring out where you want to go. So I understand that there's some of that. And then you may change majors so that, then I may end up pushing you back a little bit. And those kind of things happen. But for the most part, if we can kind of help them get a game plan when they first walk in the door, then it helps mitigate some of that, I'm here for 4 or 5 years and still don't know exactly when I'm going to be able to transfer to a UC or a Cal State. So that's the big idea. It is possible, but like I said, probably the average is more like 3.5 years that students are being able to transfer.
Okay. I had a question for you. Now, normally you work with the ASO. Mm-hmm. Do you have any advice for club members?
So
when it comes to filing for activities or fundraising, I know you have a lot of experience in that.
Sure. So with our student clubs, I say the biggest thing for student clubs and with student members in particular is that I let them know is to really plan out your events. And when I say that, I mean particularly when you're thinking about time for events. I think students sometimes don't realize, and I get that they're busy. A lot of our students are working. Some of them even working full time and taking classes here and being part of ASO and part of student clubs and that kind of thing. And I understand that. Our students are very, very busy, so I don't want to take that away from them. But I think a big piece is getting them to understand that the school has certain processes that we need to follow, and that doesn't always necessarily mesh up with what their processes are. So in that, so I really want to make sure that students understand that you turn in a funding request a week before your event, it's probably not going to happen. Yeah. So you need to be planning these things out, 3, 4, maybe even a couple of months in advance, so we can make sure that it gets, it gets submitted to the proper committees, gets the signatures from the proper people on campus, so you can get your events funded, you can get spaces reserved here on campus. Really understanding that part of it. And it's not that we're trying to be, sticklers or anything like that, but understanding that, we do have, a lot of different clubs that are trying to do a lot of different things on top of the other departments and other places on campus that are trying to do different things on campus. So it's really incumbent upon them to make sure that they are not only being active and finding out what they need to do, but then also doing it in a timely fashion. I think that's the biggest piece, is students don't really realize all the kind of behind the scene work that goes into getting an event approved or getting a location approved or getting things funded. They don't really understand that, so it's getting them to understand that these things take some time in order for these things to get approved. So that would be my biggest piece to a member, is that make sure that you're planning things well in advance and getting your items in well in advance so we can get them approved for you. So that would be my advice to student club members.
Okay, Richard. Now, you've given us a lot of insights into what really goes on in the school. We do appreciate it. I think it's important for students to know that they always have you as a resource, counselors as a resource, and ASO as a resource. And I learned a lot personally, even though it's my job to know. And hopefully our viewers did too. Thank you for coming, Richard.
Thank you so much for having me, man. It was a great time. Thank you.
All right. Okay, Southwestern. Thanks for watching.